Hey, what's up? It's David with FunAhead TV. So, this is kind of an ad-lib video, but I just realized that I'm going to do something, and so I kind of wanted to fire up my camera and document it. A little bit of background. So I have the 911 apart right now because I've had this exhaust rattle. So you can kind of see here that I've got the whole bumper off. And the heat shield apart. The muffler sits there, and the heat shield is completely around it. So I wanted to take the bumper off and figure out, if the rattle was coming from the muffler or if it was coming from, the exhaust, something in the exhaust hitting heat shield, or if the heat shield was loose. I wasn't sure. So I, of course, took the whole thing apart. Well, I've realized that. Here, look at this. Here's my muffler. Listen, I'm holding it now. Ready? So clearly, it's within the muffler. Now, I decided to get my angle grinder, and I started to, let me show you here. I started to try to cut into this here. My plan was I was going to cut here and here because I used the bore scope, figured out that there's a baffle that's loose, it's come unwelded somewhere in this area, and I can see it moving when I move around the muffler. So I was going to cut this off, take the baffle out, and I was probably going to cut one of these tubes open while I was at it to make it slightly louder. Anyway, I got into this, and I realized that, look how freaking thick that is. That is so super thick. So I was having all sorts of trouble with my angle grinder. It was jumping all over the place, and I was gonna shred up the grinding disc and hurt myself or something. Also, my grinding disc is quite thick, and yes, I could buy thinner ones, but I realized it's gonna look like a mess by the time I cut it open and re-weld it, and it's just not gonna be, I'm not gonna be happy with it because it's gonna look like crap. So I've realized that what I can do is, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's companies that make a muffler bypass kit for the 996. All right, so we've got the car lifted up, and you can see here's the engine, and then here's the back of the car this way. So the exhaust comes out of each bank. This bank comes through here, goes into the catalytic converter, and then why is that rattling? Oh, it's because of this bracket, I think. Yep, it's because of that bracket. Okay. Into the catalytic converter, and then across the car, and then onto the left side of the car. So the right bank's muffler is on the left side of the car. That's the one that's rattling. And then it goes into the muffler and back out. So I'll show you that here. So on the right bank, it's hard to see. So the left bank comes across the car. Across the car here, and then up into the muffler, and then it gets muffled, and then it's up in there, but basically the tip comes out of the muffler. So across the car, muffled, out. Now, what the muffler bypass kits do is, instead of from here going into the muffler, getting muffled and coming out, they just do a 90-degree bend and come straight out the back of the car. So, given the unfortunate fact that I can't, I probably could resurrect the muffler, but it's gonna look like crap. So assuming that it's a lost cause, I have a few options. I could buy a muffler bypass kit, which I've debated that, but also they're like $400 for just a stupid, simple, like I said, 8-inch section of tubing. Obviously that's super loud, but it is a solution. It's an inexpensive solution if I don't want to buy a $1,500 to $3,000 catback exhaust to replace these mufflers. Another downside with the muffler bypass kits that are sold for the 996, they have different tips. You can't use the stock tip, and I don't love the tips that they give with a lot of the kits that are offered. So it's expensive, and I don't like the tips, and they stick out too far. It's awkward. So in my mind, that's out the window for buying the bypass kit, Next option would be I could spend $1,500 to $3,000 on a really nice aftermarket exhaust kit, and it would sound amazing. But I did that with my Cayman. I spent a couple $1,000s on an aftermarket exhaust. It was so amazing, but I don't know if I want to do that again. I have a solution. I think I'm going to make a muffler bypass kit myself. So this video is going to be chronicling the muffler bypass kit creation. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'll show you. We have our tip here, and I would like to use the factory tips because I honestly really like them. So I've taken, what my idea is, I'm actually going to take, so imagine this isn't here. I'm going to take it, and this will then be the bypass for the left side is going to have to be used on the right, and it's going to just sit like this out the back. And this might look silly. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'm gonna make it, and if it looks like shit, then darn. TBD. Freaking BD. But what I've also started doing is polishing this. You can see on the top side I have not done it, so it's all dull and kind of nasty. But on the bottom side, look at that thing. Look at that thing. So anyway, that's the chronicling of this idea. I just thought of it like 10 minutes ago. I'm freaking psyched about it. Is it gonna work? Maybe. Let's see. Okay, day 2 of working on the muffler delete operation. Yeah, the first section of video that I was shooting was just like literally right after I was like, you know what, this could be so sweet if I just kind of like did this myself using existing parts from the car. If I could like fabricate something up cool and custom of my own. So now I've had some time to think about it, and I am hopefully going to make some good headway on it today. But for now, I'll give you a little bit of rundown of what I've done. This is the right side of the car here. You can see I've removed the passenger side muffler. So I have then removed the tip off of that part. I'm going to go ahead and clean that part up really nicely with the die grinder metal brush, get it nice and conditioned. But also I'm going to kind of bigger picture process. We're going to put the bumper back on so that we can have, you know, I'm not exactly sure that the heat shield cutouts for the exhaust are the same as what is on the bumper. So I'm gonna put the bumper back on so that I can get a really good idea of, you know, fitment to kind of mock it up before we actually do any sort of fabricating, just so I can actually see a full picture of what it can look like and what it hopefully should look like. And then from there, what I'm planning to do, so I've got both mufflers sitting here on my bench. This is the passenger side one that I just took off. It is still perfectly good. And actually, I believe it was replaced in the past. I've looked back at my service records that I have on the car, and this side was actually a replacement. You can kind of tell that because this side has a lot more oxidation on it than this one does. But anyway, I'm going to use this piece here as my new extension to come out of the piece of exhaust tubing with the cat. So I'm going to kind of, fortunately I can take just this straight section. That'll be plenty of length, and then basically it'll be welded here. But the cool thing is there's this flared out end here on the tip, which, you know, was mated to the muffler originally by a clamp. But given that we have the flared end here, I'm going to actually clean up the inside of that really well, and we're going to be using that as the mating surface for the weld. So it acts as somewhat of like a ball joint. So I can actually, if I need to angle this in a little bit, I can, and still have a good mating surface for the weld itself. So anyway, depends on how the mock-up looks when I start putting it on the car and seeing what it actually looks like, but I'll probably end up needing to turn it in a little bit is my estimation, because this isn't perfectly a 90-degree angle. It's more than that, obviously. So to kind of account for that and make it more of a 90-degree, I'm going to need to angle this in a little bit so that it doesn't look like it's, you know, just super pointing to the outside of the car when it's actually on it. Anyway, I will stop babbling and start working. Let's do it. Okay, so just a little bit of an update. Here's where I'm at. So I have taken, what I did was I took the mufflers and I cut that longer piece off that was coming, that's actually the entrance pipe into the muffler. And I'm using that. So here is that piece. I've used my handy dandy hacksaw and cut it off the muffler. And then I also used a straight portion from this pipe that was right here, and that is now my straight section lead that is going to go into the tip itself. So I've got that, I had that all measured up, cleaned up, of course, as you can see. Looks much better than this. So I've got that ready to go. I also cleaned up the tips, just the tips, you know. So now it's to the point where I need to weld it. Okay, so I got the other one mocked up finally. And it's, you know what? I don't hate it. I don't love it as much as I thought I would. I mean, obviously, like the tips being turned at like a weird angle like that looks a little weird. But I don't know. It'd be like I mean, it's literally free. I'm just doing this myself in my garage, so this could just be me trying to convince myself that, you know, it's an okay thing to do. But I mean, it could very well be a temporary countermeasure. I might, you know, run it for a little while, absolutely hate it, and then just decide to actually buy a real exhaust. But also just note, they're not perfectly set right now. They're just sitting there super loose. So obviously they're not perfectly centered within the bumper. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with it. But yeah, from here, I'm gonna finish welding them together, and I don't know, we'll give it a little start and see how she sounds. Okay, well, here they are. Again, I never promised to be a good welder, but I cleaned them up best I could with the angle grinder. So I don't know. Time to put them on the car, see what they look like, see what they sound like. Okay, so status update. I'm back, and I just finished kind of working on setting the tip location for now. It was a lot of, you know, adjustments and kind of fine tuning to decide what I liked. So here's where I have it for now, and I might move it. This is not really the best camera angle, but at first I was trying to center the tips in the cutout of the bumper. But what I realized is with the tip being oriented now at an angle, it gave it more of like a vertical look. And even though the tip was actually centered in the cutout, it looked as though it was further in. It was kind of like an illusion. So obviously 911 being a very squatty, kind of a wide car, it was not jiving at all with kind of having a more inside look, which was giving it more like a vertical, pull to the end, it was giving it like a narrower look to have the tips centered. So I decided to try pushing them more towards the outside, so they're actually not centered at all in the cutouts there, but I think it kind of helps to achieve a more natural look for the angled tips, and it kind of helps maintain that low wide look of the 911. So I don't know, I'm gonna keep them here for now. We'll see. I might move them outwards a little more. I also have another idea for potentially a different tip idea. Could be kind of like an old school OG 911 look, is kind of what it would be going for. But I don't know. For now, I kind of like the Resto Mod Outlaw muffler bypass, look. So I don't know. We'll see. But for now, there's only one thing left to do. Let's see how it sounds. Here we go. Moment of truth.